Ah, PlayStation Vita, what a missed opportunity this sweet little portable console was. I actually own a Vita and really love its hardware design and its capabilities, but the problem is, of course, its lack of software and the absence of a consistent stream of compelling exclusives. Of the platform's entire library, the only game I think I can truly label as a console seller is Persona 4 Golden, and that's basically an enhanced version of a title that had already been released. Other noteworthy exclusives include Gravity Rush, Killzone Mercenary, and maybe Uncharted Golden Abyss, but other than that, there is really not much else I can recommend. There are also some fantastic indie and third-party games that you can play on the go with the console, but many of these can be played elsewhere, so it's not enough to drive sales. Now, in Japan, the Vita actually performed moderately well with its myriad of niche releases, but outside of that, it didn't do so hot, managing to sell around 17 million units in its entire life cycle so far. It was up to Sony to provide all the support that the Vita needed to inject it with must-own first-party experiences, but instead, they just kind of abandoned it when the going got tough, and that's what ultimately killed its chances of success. Keep in mind that its main competitor, the 3DS, also had a pretty rough start, but Nintendo hung in there, and once the game started pouring in, sales skyrocketed, and the 3DS overall turned out to be a pretty successful console, and it continues to sell decently. So it wasn't a matter of the mobile gaming market making it impossible for the Vita to succeed, as Sony likes to claim. While I won't say it wasn't a factor, it certainly wasn't an insurmountable situation either. Vita just needed games, plain and simple, and Sony bafflingly refused to give it the fuel it needed, so unsurprisingly, the console lost momentum real fast. Since Sony's abandonment, the Vita has sort of been hanging by a thread, and as years have gone by, the company has all but stopped acknowledging the console's existence altogether. And now they're taking things a step further. It seems as though they're getting ready to kill the Vita off outright based on a story reported by website Kotaku. The headline says it all: Sony ends production of physical Vita games. In a company-wide message that Kotaku somehow managed to get a hold of, Sony told developers how the company's American and European branches plan to, quote, end all Vita game card production by close of fiscal year 2018. In other words, come March 31st, 2019, physical card sales for Vita games will be no more, though digital distribution will continue. Kotaku then reached out to Sony via email to confirm, and they actually got a response confirming that the information the website obtained was indeed true. So whereas before, Sony threw the Vita into deep waters and left it to struggle on its own, now they're straight up going out of their way to drown the Vita with their own hands until it meets its untimely and unceremonious demise. Can't say that any of this is a shocker though. The Vita's failure to gain traction probably lost Sony a huge amount of money. It was only a matter of time before the company resorted to more direct measures of dealing with this situation, as it no longer makes sense to continue supporting a dying platform, a scenario that's in large part of Sony's own making. It's really a damn shame because the Vita had the potential to be something truly special if you ask me. Hardware-wise, it had every advantage over the 3DS, both in terms of design and processing power. But time and again, history has proven that software will trump hardware every single time. Nintendo 64 may have been a more powerful console than the PlayStation 1, but the latter still outsold the former by having a more consistent stream of great games. The generation after that, PlayStation 2, was the weakest home console by a significant margin, but still managed to become the best-selling console of all time on the back of its incredible library. Not to mention that while the DS was far less graphically capable than the PSP, it still vastly outperformed the competition with compelling software that took advantage of its dual-screen setup. Sony even managed to recover from the disastrous launch of PlayStation 3 once they got their house in order and managed to surpass Xbox 360 in sales, though of course neither matched the commercial prowess of the Nintendo Wii, by far the weakest console, which demolished the competition with their push for motion controls and software to take advantage of them. Wii Sports alone was enough to make gamers, the more casual segment in particular, realize the kind of new gameplay paradigms that this new input method would allow. As for the current generation, well, there is certainly no denying that PlayStation 4 managed to strike the right balance of both launching as the most powerful hardware and having the most compelling lineup of games to back it up. Even with the release of Xbox One X, now the most powerful home console ever made, PS4 maintains its dominance while Xbox is lagging behind with its lackluster offerings. Hell, Nintendo Switch is also tracking really well in terms of sales, despite being the least powerful of the current-gen consoles, in large part because of the high-fidelity games it offers in a shockingly portable package. So yeah, I mean, what else is there to say beyond that Sony was the one who dug Vita's grave and that they didn't even give it a fighting chance? From the looks of it, Sony has no intention of making a comeback either, as they have expressed not too long ago that there are no plans to make a Switch competitor or a Vita successor. Maybe that's for the best though, they've got a good thing going with PlayStation 4, so I don't see any reason to shift focus away from that. But if they do decide one day that they want to give the portable console sector a run for its money, I hope they now understand the importance of software. After all, software is why PlayStation 4 has garnered its current commercial success, plain and simple. Anyway, with that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy my content, consider supporting me on Patreon. It is completely optional, but donating even as little as $1 a month will go a long way in helping maintain this channel. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.